Emirates First Class. We've all seen the onboard bar, the showers, and the incredible service. But the problem is, we've also seen the ticket prices, usually in the thousands of dollars, sometimes even tens of thousands. This product is completely out of reach. But what if I told you there's a way to fly this for well under $1,000? Actually, closer to $500. And yes, you will get the full service. And no, I'm not talking about tricky points redemptions. You can fly on any date with cash. I've just done exactly this, so let's get this journey started and I'll explain on the way. I'm here at Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport and I'm just going to go get checked in and make my way to the lounge. That's right, there's no way you'd get such a cheap flight starting from Emirates' home base of Dubai. So let's get checked in here in Bangkok. There's a separate queue exclusively for first class passengers and those with platinum status. I didn't have to wait at all. I was checked in no time and went on towards the fast track security channel. Oh, and in case you were wondering, the cheapest first class flight from Dubai is to Muscat on a 777 for $1,800. With just over 200 miles of distance, you only get 40 minutes in the air, and the service is reduced. I just go ahead and book that $200 Fly Dubai flight. But we're interested in the big boy, so the cheapest A380 First Class flight is to Mumbai for $2,000. And with 1,200 miles to cover, you get 2 hours 15 in the air, and you do get the full service. But let's get back to Bangkok, because I'm going to show you how to get this for almost a quarter of that. Checked in and made it through security, so now I'm going to check out the Emirates Lounge and see what they have to offer. With 4 daily departures from Bangkok, Emirates operate their own lounge here in Concourse G. If you've ever been to an Emirates outstation lounge, you'll feel right at home. I made my way straight to the dining area to grab some food from the buffet. The selection is pretty extensive, with a bunch of hot food options like curries, noodles, satays, and more. A cold buffet with salads, vegetables with dips, fruit platters and baked goods. And of course, a self-serve bar with champagne, wines and spirits. If you know me, you already know I poured myself a glass of the Moet et Chandon champagne on offer, which retails for about $60 a bottle. Cheers! I thought I'd save myself for the meal service on board, so I kept it light and only had a smoked duck salad. And while I was enjoying this, I was also enjoying the views overlooking the airport gardens. The floor-to-ceiling windows span the length of the lounge, letting in a bunch of natural light, which I think is a great feature, and the garden views make a nice change to the usual asphalt. Further down past the dining area, there's a bit more seating on either side of the main walkway, and the toilets are at the very far end. The lounge also has a few shower rooms with a sink, toilet, provided towels, and obviously a shower with rainfall, jet, and handle options. Otherwise, at the complete other end of the lounge, there's even more seating. Here you can find a TV area, a few computers, and more things to drink like coffee, a selection of teas from around the world, a fridge with soft drinks, beers, water, and another self-pour spirits bar. I love to see international power sockets at almost every seat. I never understand why airports of all places usually only have local sockets. That's pretty much everything to show in the lounge, so I decided to grab another glass of champagne and relax for a bit until my flight was ready for boarding. I kept an eye on the Rolex branded clocks, and before long, it was time to leave. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute. Flights with Emirates from Bangkok to Dubai in first class cost around $2,200. What's going on? Is FlyManyan clickbaiting us? Well, if we make our way to gate E4, we can see we're catching flight 384 to Hong Kong? Let me explain. This is one of Emirates' Fifth Freedom routes, which means the flight starts in Dubai, flies to Bangkok, and after a short stop continues on to Hong Kong, and the same on the way back. The Fifth Freedom is one of the freedoms of the air, which allows airlines to carry passengers between 2 countries that are different from their home base. And the beautiful thing with Fifth Freedom flights is you don't have to fly the entire route. Like me today, you can simply hop on for the second leg. Emirates actually operate quite a few Fifth Freedom routes around the world. I'll talk a bit more about those and how much this cost, but first, let's get on board. Being an A380, there's 3 separate jet bridges to get on the plane. With first and business class taking up the entire upper deck, I took the separate jet bridge for premium passengers. On board, the crew greeted me by name and walked me to my suite for today, 4A. I got settled into my seat and I couldn't help but smile. Last time I flew Emirates First Class on the A380 was my first ever time flying first class, so it brings back a lot of good memories. Unlike last time when I was sitting in 1K, today I'm at the complete opposite end and back of the 14-seat cabin in 4A. The crew came by to give me an Emirates tote bag, which only had the first class slippers inside, since this is such a short flight. They will provide the full amenity kit on request, but check out my video in the Emirates Game Changer First Class Suites to see what you get. I also had a glass of champagne as part of the pre-departure service. They only serve Moet on the ground for duty reasons, but don't worry, something a bit more fancy is coming in the sky. The food menu for today's flight was handed to me, which comes in this leather-bound cover. It's small touches like this that makes Emirates First Class feel so special. And even though this is a short flight, with a block time of 3 hours 5 minutes, realistically giving you about 2 hours 15 in the air, you still get the full meal service. That means you get 4 courses, including the caviar service, and a choice of 4 appetizers, 4 main courses, and 4 desserts. Emirates do offer dine on demand in first class, which means you can choose to eat at any time, but with the limited time on this flight, it's straight to dining after takeoff. Speaking of, it was time to put on my seatbelt as we had started pushing back. There was one last element of the pre-departure service, which was the scented hot towel just before takeoff. And as we approach the runway, let's talk a bit more about Emirates' other Fifth Freedom routes. Emirates currently operate 13 Fifth Freedom routes on their network, although this can change season by season. These can range from incredibly good value, like the flight I'm on today, to ridiculously poor value. The shortest of these is a tiny 250 miles between Harare and Lusaka for around $2,400. For 45 minutes of flight time, I wouldn't recommend this. But it's not as bad as the next shortest, Accra to Abidjan. At 260 miles, this will set you back just over $5,000, giving you a minuscule 0.05 miles per dollar spent. I'm not even sure who in their right mind would be buying these tickets, but let's look at the other end of the scale. Distance-wise, the 2 longest flights are transatlantic. Athens to Newark comes in at almost 5,000 miles for just over $6,000, and Milan to JFK covering almost 4,000 miles and costing just over $5,000. These both give you in the region of 0.8 miles per dollar, a lot better than the previous ones, but we can do better. Sorting the list by miles per dollar, there's only 2 flights which provide over 1 mile per dollar of value. Second place is Sydney to Christchurch, covering just over 1,300 miles for about $1,100. 1.18 miles per dollar of value, not bad. But number 1 is of course our flight today, Bangkok to Hong Kong, giving us by far the best value. But let's look at the total cost of this trip after the meal service. Now that we're in the sky, the meal service was in full swing. So let's get the dining table pulled out and start things off with a glass of 2013 Dom Pérignon champagne. Retailing at just over $300 a bottle, I just might be able to make my money back on this flight. This came with the usual warmed mixed nuts, and I enjoyed both of these as my food was being prepared. The crew came back to set my table and serve the first course, the signature caviar service. I've got to say, the presentation here is 10 out of 10. It really feels like you're in a high-end restaurant. Apart from the generous serving of caviar on my plate, you also get crackers, blinis, and a lemon slice, with the usual garnishes of finely chopped onions, grated egg whites, yolks, and creme fraiche. Before I tuck in, let me close my automatic suite doors using the controls on the armrest for a bit of extra privacy. Ah, that's better. Cheers. The crew recommended I pair my caviar with ice-cold vodka, so I had a shot of my favorite, Belvedere. Bottoms up. Good stuff. I've since found out you're actually meant to sip this in between each mouthful of caviar, but I didn't know this at the time, so let me just wash that down with a bit of champagne. And some more information from my caviar research is that the reason you use the separate mother-of-pearl spoon for the caviar is because the eggs are very delicate, and the metal spoon would damage the texture and taste. With that said, this course tasted great, and I cleaned up the plate before the appetizer was served. I've chosen the traditional Arabic meze today, and again, the presentation is just top-notch. I love how everything is in its own little dish. There's a bit of everything here, from baba ganoush to mahamra, tabbouleh, hummus, mutabal, lamb kibbeh, olives, and stuffed vine leaves. It's great to get a little taste of so many different dishes in one go, and they were all delicious. Now, it's time for the main course, the seared beef tenderloin. This was covered in a shallot and tarragon sauce with steamed asparagus and potato gratin on the side. I have to be honest, the beef itself was overcooked to my liking, and it was a bit dry. The sauce helped a bit, but it didn't save it. The sides were pretty good though, and I still cleaned up my plate. Finally, it was time for the dessert course, and with barely enough space left in my stomach, I went for the seasonal fresh fruit. The crew told me this was catered from Bangkok, and it definitely tasted fresh. I'll have to stop saying fruit in the sky is hard now, I've only had good experiences recently. With the meal service complete and my table cleared, let me pop open the in-seat minibar to see what's available. Actually wait, what am I doing? Let me go to the real onboard bar at the back of the upper deck. This bar is available for anyone traveling in business and first class. And even though it's not the latest design found on newer planes, it's still a great place to hang out, grab a drink, and socialize. I'd usually stay here for longer, but with the short flight time, let's go check out the even more exclusive feature on this A380. At the very front of the upper deck are 2 shower spas exclusively for first class passengers. I think this is probably the best toilet setup on any aeroplane out there. There's a huge amount of space, and of course, the shower. You get a 30-minute slot in the spa room with 5 minutes of running water in the shower. There's all the good stuff you'd expect, like these nicely laid out Voya branded amenities, Bulgari branded fragrances, a hand towel pyramid, and this beautiful flower. On the way out, you can use this huge floor to ceiling mirror to make sure you look amazing. And just to make a comparison, here are the business class toilets. Back at my seat, let's have a quick look around the features. Straight ahead is a 32-inch screen with the ICE system, probably the best in-flight entertainment in the skies. More small touches like the real flower on the suite wall, a lamp and a vanity mirror with more amenities within. Below on one side is the Emirates writing kit, which you can take with you, and the other side has an international power socket. The IFE remote is in one of the armrests, but there's also a detachable tablet which you can use as a remote or as a separate screen. A reading light with an adjustable air nozzle, and another air nozzle by the tablet. The bedding is behind the seat, although I doubt you'll make use of this on such a short flight. The Bowers & Wilkins noise-cancelling headphones come in this high-quality carry case, and are specifically tuned to cancel out the ambient engine noise. And finally, lots of storage, from this small side pocket to a larger bin here, a wardrobe with hangers outside your suite under here, which I forgot to film, and plenty of space under the screen without obstructing your legroom. The flight was coming to an end, so it was time to put on the seatbelt as we started our descent into Hong Kong International Airport. Now, the big question, how much did this all cost? Like I said before, this is the best value Fifth Freedom route on the entire Emirates network. With 1,049 miles to cover, the block time is 3 hours and 5 minutes, giving you around 2 hours and 15 minutes of actual flight time. The grand total for this experience was only $606, giving a miles per dollar value of 1.73, the highest by far on the list. It's definitely a lot to squeeze in with only 2 hours, but if you're keen to experience Emirates First Class on the cheap, this is the way to do it. And if you're interested in seeing what the Emirates First Class experience is like on a longer flight departing from Dubai, checking out the huge First Class lounge, and flying on the new Game Changer First Class suites, then check out my other video. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm gonna enjoy a few days in Hong Kong now before my next flight. So what do you think? Is $600 good value for this experience? Let me know in the comments, and I'd really appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to my channel. Till next time.